to my channel. Today we're going to be making a twist on the martini. This cocktail is called the Smoky Martini, and we're going to need 2.5 ounces of dry gin of your choice and 1/4 ounce of scotch. That's going to give us that smokiness. So this is kind of like a regular martini, but swapping out the dry vermouth for scotch. This recipe comes from Dale de Groff. I might have mentioned him before, you might have heard of him, very famous, legendary in the cocktail world really. And as far as the backstory goes, I'm going to tell you this before we get started because it's a fun one. So there was a book, was it written by Norman Mailer or something like that, back in 1991 I believe, and it was about CIA. It was about a CIA spy working in the Berlin station. Now I think it was based on a true story-ish. It was set back in the 50s, and this character in the novel enjoys adding a splash of scotch to his ice in the cocktail shaker and rinsing that around, and then I think tipping it out before he would add the gin to make his martini with. So at that time in the 90s when this book came out, I think that this then became a sort of popular twist on the martini amongst bartenders. Dale de Groff says he was making them back in the 70s, and I'm not sure whether the actual character, the actual person who the character in the novel was based off of, whether he actually did drink these or not that much. That's going too deep, you know. With these cocktail backstories, you just take what you're given and you say thank you and you move on without asking too many questions. So without further ado, let's get started. We're going to be stirring this cocktail. So you're going to need a mixing glass, and we're going to go in, I'm going to go in with that ice cube because he's stuck. So we're going to go in with some ice, and then we're going to go in with 2.5 ounces of gin. Now I'm very intrigued to try this because I'm always looking for a twist on the martini. One of the twists that I've been enjoying recently is the, I'm not sure what it's called actually, but where you swap out the vermouth for dry sherry, which provides a very nice kind of nutty, interesting flavour profile. Okay, so there's a tiny bit of scotch, which I still can't work out whether I like scotch or not. Very peaty, we've talked about this, reminds me of TCP, which is this weird antiseptic lotion that they use in the UK. Anyway, we're going to stir this for about 30 seconds. We want the outside of the glass to be frosty, and we do want some dilution to happen because obviously this is just pure spirit, so we want to kind of loosen up those flavours a bit. So if you have very cold ice straight out of the freezer, you may want to add just a tiny dash, maybe like 1/4 ounce of water to the drink. Please try and use, if you have it, filtered water, so you don't add any weird flavours in there. So I'm going to get on with stirring this. Okay, I think that should be good. I thought we'd go traditional, given that this was buzzing in the 90s. I thought we should definitely use a traditional cocktail, traditional martini glass. So let's strain that in. As I've told you before, these martini glasses are enormous, and I don't know how one would possibly drink as much booze as you would need to fill that up. We're going to garnish this with a lemon twist. Now, this is the wrong channel knife. I have a really good channel knife, which didn't realise I had two. This one I'm not sure about, but let's give it a try. So we're going to go for a lemon twist, and I thought it would be fun to... Ooh. This is very zesty lemon. Oh gosh, I feel like I'm practically choking on it. All right, there are oils everywhere. Not as good as my other channel knife, but it'll do. So let's just drop it in. We'll drop it in. Okay. Now, looking at this, you definitely get a little bit of the colour from the whiskey. I can pretty much only smell lemon because I think I've doused this with enough lemon oil to last a very long time. So I suppose the only thing left to do is taste it. Cheers. I'm reserving judgment for a minute. I need to let that kind of, I need to contemplate it. It feels like a very contemplative drink. It's oddly far more complex than I thought it would be, especially, it's only a tiny bit of scotch. I think you could maybe even go a little bit less on the scotch, because it definitely comes through. I think, maybe this is just like a very peaty, strong scotch. As I've said, I'm not an expert, and I will not pretend to be on this. It's not my strong suit, but maybe if you had something that wasn't as peaty, it wouldn't come through as strong. But I would say you could either up your gin maybe by another half an ounce, or take this down to 1/8 of an ounce. Not that it's bad as it is, it's just sort of more whiskey-ish than I thought it was going to be. I feel like you could sort of, this could be the route. If you have a friend who likes whiskey and says they don't like anything else and it's all they ever want to drink, and you're trying to, steer them out of that channel, then maybe this could be the drink to get them moving towards gin. I feel like that second sip is a bit different. Crisper. More of the gin coming through now. Definitely seems to be evolving. Maybe the more I drink, the more flavours I will find in here inevitably, as is the way with alcohol. We definitely become more imaginative the more we consume. But no, I like that. I think that I can imagine that being a really nice kind of pre-dinner drink, especially at the moment with the holiday season. Everything tends to be very, overly saturated with holiday spirit, perhaps. Everything's cinnamon this and eggnog that and spiced syrups and apple cider and all the rest of it. And, sometimes just going back to the simpler things can be really great. And usually you get told, well, you can have an old-fashioned or a Manhattan or a martini. Well, why not have your cake and eat it and have whiskey in your martini? I will be definitely giving this another go. So I hope that you get the opportunity to make this at some point over the holiday season if you've got a bottle of scotch around. And I hope you enjoy it. Please hit the like and subscribe buttons below, and I will see you next week.